For those of us that are looking at building in a rural area, one of your steps is going to have to be a septic system. This last week I met with a soil scientist. I learned quite a bit, and I'm excited to share with you what I've learned. For those that are looking at building in a rural area, more than likely you're not going to be able to hook up to a public sewer system. So you're going to have to build your own, basically your own wastewater treatment plant in your backyard called a septic system. Part of that research is to find out what type of septic system you need to put in place. And really that comes from a soil test. So the lot that we're looking at, I initially looked at the soil test, and honestly I was overwhelmed. Tried to do a little research, but it was just too much that I could process, and I really didn't have the understanding. But thankfully I was able to meet with a soil scientist, and he was more than happy to go over it with me. In that process he explained what a perk test is. Really it tells you how well your soil drains, and that they also do a soil profile, which tells you layer by layer what's underneath the ground, what kind of dirt you have. So with that we found out that the lot we're looking at has a really high amount of clay, which holds on to water, which means then that there's a high water table. So it doesn't drain well, and the high water table also means that it's hard for the water to go down because there's already water there. So that means an alternative septic system, which means more than likely it's going to cost a lot of money. So we investigated some more, and we found out really what kind of systems we could have. Some systems that allowed for a 3-bedroom house. Thankfully we were able to find one that allows for a 4-bedroom house, which is what we really want. Now as we research more about that, make sure, and I would encourage you to find out all the costs involved. Installation is one cost, but then there's yearly maintenance costs. Here in Pennsylvania you have to get it inspected every year, at least the alternatives ones. Every 3 to 5 years you have to have your septic system pumped out just to make sure it's clean and it's running properly. And then there's long-term costs that you have to really examine. For us, an alternative septic system, we have to think about, is this something that is tried and true? But meeting with people, they say really comes down to the maintenance. If you maintain it properly, it should last quite some time. So I would encourage everybody who has to do a septic system, make sure you do your research. And if it's just too much, meet with a soil scientist. Another person to talk to would be a sewage enforcement officer. They should be able to give you a lot of information about what type of septic system there is and what are all the costs. Good luck to you. Make sure to like and leave a comment below.